Oh, hello. Recently, the CEO of Hasbro, who just a short while ago was the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, revealed Magic the Gathering's revenue grew by 7% in the first quarter of 2022 alone, attributed to the absolutely record-setting sales of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. In fact, Neon Dynasty didn't just sell well, it was one of the top 3 Magic sets ever in terms of sales, generating over $100 million in revenue and making it the best-selling winter set of all time. Digital sales have also increased from their already impressive levels, with Magic Arena being a part of Wizards of the Coast's digital gaming revenue increase of 6%. These incredible and record-setting sales for Wizards of the Coast comes 1 year after it was revealed that Wizards of the Coast not only met Hasbro's plan of doubling its revenue in a 5-year period, but it managed to do so in only 3 years. I'll repeat. 1 year after Wizards of the Coast doubled its revenue, 2 years ahead of its goal to do so, we see there has been even further growth, with record-breaking sales bringing Wizards of the Coast to a mind-boggling $1 billion in revenue. In unrelated news, Wizards of the Coast announced last week that it will need to be raising the price of its products 11%. According to Wizards of the Coast, over the past year, the cost of goods, transportation, and manufacturing have increased significantly and steadily for just about everyone across nearly every industry. For Wizards of the Coast, this means that we've seen a large spike in the overall costs to produce Magic the Gathering. As such, we will be increasing prices by around 11%, allowing for regional variation on select products in our lineup starting in July and September. Many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, in a time of unprecedented and record-breaking sales, with incredible increases in revenue, should Wizards of the Coast still be raising the price of its products due to the increase of costs for operations and supplies? Let's explore that topic together, shall we? Before I begin, I want to be very clear that talking about anything relating to the business side of Hasbro/Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering product pricing is a very difficult subject, and not just because the company won't tell us what their products actually cost. The reason it is so difficult is that there's just so many factors that we, as consumers, simply cannot know. What does it cost for Wizards of the Coast to make a draft booster, for example, versus a set booster or a collector's booster? This is information we do not have and probably will never have. But despite not having all of this information, I do think it is not only fair that we as consumers question the company's product pricing, but that critics such as myself not feel that it is impossible or unreasonable to offer our thoughts, our critique, and other commentary. That commentary, of course, is limited to that which is known to me as a consumer, but it is not invalid for lacking all the hidden information about how Wizards of the Coast does business. What isn't hidden, however, is that prices are going up, and what is reasonable is that consumers are frustrated and angry. Frustrated and angry is good. I always say that it's good. It's apathy that's the bad thing. Anger and frustration means that you care about and love this game and want to continue to be a part of it. Apathy means you're just gonna shrug and go spend your time and money on something else. For an example of that, please see Alchemy on Arena. There are many reasons why players are feeling frustrated about these price increases. Magic the Gathering, already an expensive luxury hobby that was built on the back of a youth-friendly trading card game, is perceived as having gotten more and more expensive over the years. Whether that perception is entirely valid is, of course, debatable, but the perception is there, and there's a lot of legitimate reasons for at least some of it, which I will get into in a moment. However, equally, there are many reasons why production costs have absolutely gone up over the last few years for a company like Wizards of the Coast. Due to global pandemic, jammed canals, and myriad other factors, shipping costs alone are at unprecedented global highs. Unfinity, a set that had been scheduled to be released on April 1st, has had to be delayed for as far back as September of this year. And an increase in shipping cost and an increase in shipping delays, this affects everything. Supplies become more expensive, more difficult to procure. And I think it is absolutely reasonable of a company like Wizards of the Coast to say, hey, our costs have increased significantly, and thus, so too must the price of some of our products. Yeah, that's reasonable, but which products? Wizards of the Coast pointed out that they have worked hard to keep booster prices consistent and free of price increases over the years. I think it's fair to acknowledge that, yes, for the most part, a booster pack of Magic the Gathering has been about $4 for years and years and years, and now, yeah, it's going to have to see an approximate 11% increase, which is just from $4 to maybe $4.44 per pack, maybe even $4.50 per pack. And while that still sucks, looking at it in isolation does seem like an understandable enough increase due to legitimate production and supply costs, not to just mention things like inflation. However, what is left out of that example is the litany of other booster products Wizards of the Coast also sells, among them set boosters, theme boosters, booster bundles, jumpstart boosters, and of course collector boosters, that last one being the one that sells for approximately $24.99 per pack. An 11% increase on a $25 booster pack is a lot more than 44 cents, just as an 11% increase on a $39.99 booster bundle is a lot more than 44 cents. And we can already see that Magic's next set, Battle for Baldur's Gate, has booster bundles listed at $61.48 for a box of 8 booster packs, and collector booster boxes listed for $348.80 for a box of 12 booster packs. Now, Battle for Baldur's Gate is the new Commander Legends set, and pricing is usually higher on that than an average set because Wizards of the Coast chooses to charge more for Commander Legends sets. Dominaria United is still a ways away, and quite frankly, with no MSRP ever given by Wizards of the Coast anymore, it's incredibly difficult to fully grasp what anything is intended to cost, let alone what anything is intended to cost relative to anything else. Nonetheless, I can only see what prices I see. There's no MSRP. Wizards of the Coast is literally saying, hey, we need to raise prices 11%, but when we ask, raise them 11% from what and to what? The answer is, we don't reveal that information. Okay, does a collector booster, which contains 15 Magic cards, cost 6 times more for Wizards of the Coast to manufacture than a $4 draft booster? Both boosters have the same number of cards. Yes, a collector booster has more foils, but does that increase in foils and collation requirements really amount to 6 times that of a draft booster? And if a collector booster being 6 times that of a draft booster is, in fact, a more or less arbitrary price, one set not by cost of manufacturing, but instead by the price customers are willing to pay, then is a general increase in production costs even relevant to collector boosters? Or should it just be applied to draft boosters? To put it in a broad sense, if the price of cardboard is going up, does a cardboard product whose price is largely disconnected from the price of cardboard to begin with really need to go up with it? We saw only about a year ago that Wizards of the Coast was able to offer 100-card Commander decks, complete with newly designed cards and foils for $19.99 each. Them doing so sends a signal to players that the now $44.99 price tag on Commander decks is not tied to the cost of manufacturing the contents of the box, so much as it must instead be tied to charging what people are willing to pay. Or maybe Commander decks are supposed to cost $39.99 and not $44.99 each? Who is to say? Not Wizards of the Coast. Honestly, the absolute absurdity of them declining to tell us what their products cost is nothing short of creating obfuscation and confusion. Maybe that's the point of it. So yes, I think it is absolutely fair for Wizards of the Coast to point to an increase in manufacturing costs, an increase in shipping costs, inflation, all of these factors, other factors, as reasons that a product that has been $4 $20 a pack for years upon years needs to now finally be increased by about 11%. However, simultaneously, I think it is absolutely fair for customers of Magic the Gathering during a time of record-breaking sales and revenue increases, no less, to be skeptical towards price increases on a product line that has many, many products that do not seem tied to manufacturing cost so much as they seem tied to the invisible hand of what people are willing to pay. Wizards of the Coast is a company who made the choice to sell 15-card booster packs at a wide variety of prices. Some $4, some $24, some just 2-card VIP boosters that cost $100. Or wait, it was 4 cards in them, 2 cards, whatever. It was a couple cards for $100. If Wizards of the Coast is a company that decides it can sell identical products for $20 and $40 or $45 and lean into artificial scarcity and collectability as a strategy so that they can sell premium sets like Masters and Horizon products for multiple times that of their non-premium boosters, then it's going to have to accept that its customer base is going to be skeptical of them tying price increases to production cost increases. I feel if you are a company that creates value through collectability, through manufactured scarcity, through abstract and ethereal pricing, then you're going to have to expect customers to not care or believe you when you talk about the real-world cost of making those products. Sorry, but what do you expect? Yeah, people are frustrated, people are angry, people are mistrusting, and I think understandably so. Inevitably, there will be a point where we as customers say, enough is enough, where we say we are overwhelmed with too many products, too little reinvestment in the game, too many price increases, too much of a demand for each quarter to outsell the last. You can't double revenue forever, and at a certain point, we're just gonna give up and walk away. Again, see Magic Alchemy. But of course, that day is not today, because are you ready for Commander Legends previews? They start in just a week. It's been a week since the last set released, and now there's 3 other products coming out in the summer, and they've got price increases, but you're gonna buy them. Yes, you are. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think it's fair for Wizards of the Coast to raise prices 11% during a period of unprecedented revenue growth and sales? Or do you think that this is not something that should have happened? Let me know in the comments below. And if you are indeed going to continue buying Magic the Gathering products despite those price increases, remember, when it is reasonable, when it is fair to do so, try and spend that money where you do spend time playing this game. And that's why you spend all this money on this game, is to play it. Where do you play it? At your local game store. If you do have a fair and reasonable local game store with pricing that is affordable to you, maybe make that effort to spend that money where you spend time playing this great game. You're supporting your Magic community when you do. Help but feel you didn't rightfully earn your position.
How dare you? I lied about my past, placed sinister hexes on my competition, threatened the hiring committee, and vowed to exact revenge on this plane if I didn't get the tenured position.
Yeah, I know, that's all very standard stuff in academia. There's still something off about this. I can't put my finger on it, but you don't just go from villainess to necromancer to tenured professor.
Look, just sign off on my review or I'm going to turn your bones into a thick purple soup.
Jeez, all right, here you go. Here, signed. I gotta say, I really prefer Classic Lily.
What do you mean, Classic Lily?
I'll show you. I've got her calling card right here.
I told you to never call me again.
Huh. I can see why she's a fan favorite.